I never thought I'd bury my own grandmother alive to save my soul. But when the shovel hit the cold Kentucky dirt and her coffin creaked open to reveal nothing but a pile of staged medical charts and a single mocking post-it note reading, "Gotcha," I realized family ties aren't chains, they're nooses. That moment, as thunder cracked overhead like God's own laugh, I chose the blade over the bind. My name is Arabella Voss, and for the last 8 years, I've been running from the ghosts of Willow Creek, Kentucky, a sleepy speck on the map where the Ohio River whispers secrets to the cornfields. I was 22 when I fled, a wide-eyed paralegal fresh out of community college, convinced that the Voss family fortune was my ticket to something bigger than bingo nights and Baptist guilt. Grandpa Harlan built it all from moonshine stills during Prohibition, turning bootleg cash into a chain of hardware stores that dotted the Midwest like stubborn weeds. By the time he croaked in '09, his estate was a cool $12 million, split uneven between his 3 kids, my mom, Aunt Lydia, and Uncle Ray. But the real kicker? A codicil in his will that funneled any unclaimed shares to the most deserving Voss heir, judged by a panel of family elders who'd long since turned senile. I didn't know about that part then. Hell, I barely knew about the money at all. Mom, God rest her opportunistic soul, kept me in the dark, feeding me lines about hard work and humility while she siphoned off chunks for her charity fund, which was code for slots at the Riverboat Casino. Dad, he split when I was 6, leaving behind a stack of IOUs and a Polaroid of him flipping the bird from a Greyhound headed west. So it was just me and Mom in that sagging Victorian on Elm Street, where the wallpaper peeled like old skin and the air always smelled of fried okra and regret. The call came on a muggy Tuesday in July, right as I was elbow-deep in discovery docs for a corporate merger in my shoebox apartment off Michigan Avenue. Chicago had been my sanctuary, neon buzz, anonymous crowds, the kind of place where a southern drawl gets you pity tips at the corner diner instead of prying questions. My phone lit up with Mom's number, the one I'd programmed as "Do not answer unless Armageddon." But the voicemail pinged through anyway. "Bella, honey, it's bad. Gran's had a stroke. Doctors say it's touch and go. Come home. Please." "We're all here at the hospital." I froze, the merger files scattering like confetti. Gran, Evelyn Voss, was the iron spine of our clan, the one who'd baked me thumbprint cookies and whispered bedtime stories about Harlan's wilder days, back when he'd outrun revenuers on horseback. She was 87, sharp as a tack, the only one who'd ever called bullshit on Mom's schemes. A stroke? It hit like a sucker punch. I booked the first red-eye out of O'Hare, the kind where the seats recline just enough to cradle your panic. The flight was a blur of recycled air and bad coffee, my mind replaying every half-remembered holiday, Gran's arthritic hands braiding my hair, her voice gravelly from years of camels, quoting Faulkner like gospel. By dawn, I was rattling down I-65 in a rental Chevy, the dashboard GPS mocking my tears with its cheery, arriving at Willow Creek General in 5 minutes. The hospital loomed like a concrete crypt on the edge of town, its ER entrance flanked by ambulances that looked as tired as the night shift nurses. Mom was in the waiting room, a vision in her church lady cardigan and pearls that screamed grieving widow, even though Dad had been gone longer than I'd been legal. Aunt Lydia hovered nearby, her Botox-frozen face a mask of concern, while Uncle Ray paced like a caged coonhound, his guts straining against a flannel shirt that hadn't seen a wash since Clinton. Cousins milled about, little Tommy with his 4-night addiction, Sarah with her fresh divorce ink still wet, but Gran's room was off limits. Family only. Bella. Oh God. You made it, Mom wailed, pulling me into a hug that smelled of aqua net and desperation. Her eyes were puffy, but not from crying, more like she'd rubbed them raw for effect. It's her heart now.
2.
The doctors. They don't know if she'll pull through. I shrugged off her grip, scanning the room for answers.
Where is she?
I need to see Gran. Uncle Ray stopped pacing, his meaty hand clamping my shoulder. Private room. Darlin'. But listen, there's paperwork. Harlan's will. It's gettin' messy with the taxes. We might need your sign-off. That was the first crack in the facade. Taxes? On a will from 16 years back? But grief's a blindfold, and I was already half-strapped to the gurney of their bullshit. They shuttled me to a conference room that reeked of stale donuts and fluorescent hum, where a notary named Earl, probably Ray's drinking buddy, shoved a stack of forms under my nose. Just formalities, Miss Boss. To consolidate the estate. I signed without reading, my pen scratching like claws on cardboard. By noon, Gran was stable, and we were back at the family manse, a sprawling McMansion Ray had flipped from Grandpa's old distillery site. All marble counters and mounted deer heads that stared down like judgmental ancestors. The wake was impromptu. Deviled eggs, sweet tea spiked with bourbon, and whispers about what comes next. That's when the story started unraveling. Aunt Lydia cornered me by the grand piano, her voice a conspiratorial hiss. Your mama's been handling things poorly.
Bella.
That Charity? Half went to her boyfriend's bookie.
And Ray. Well.
He's got debts taller than the Smokies. She sipped her drink, eyes gleaming. But you're the smart one. College girl. Maybe it's time we talked about that codicil. Codicil? My stomach twisted. What the hell are you on about? Lydia? She leaned in, breath like onions. Harlan's twist. The bulk goes to whoever proves boss blood deepest. Gran's the tiebreaker. But if she's gone. She trailed off, glancing at Mom, who was laughing too loud with Ray over some inside joke. I excused myself to the powder room, splashing water on my face that did nothing to rinse the unease. In the mirror, my reflection looked haunted, dark circles under hazel eyes, auburn hair frizzing from humidity like Medusa's snakes. That's when my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Check the attic. Truth hurts more than lies. A friend. Who the fuck? But curiosity's a drug, and I was hooked. Slipping upstairs while the clan clinked glasses below, I creaked open the attic door. Dust motes dancing in the sliver of light. Boxes labeled Harlan's Legacy loomed like tombstones. Rifling through one, my fingers brushed yellowed envelopes. Then a ledger, handwritten, dates from '07. Grandpa's scrawl detailed loans to Mom, Lydia, Ray, hundreds of thousands, never repaid. But the kicker, a notarized confession, Harlan's shaky signature at the bottom. The distillery fire of '05 was no accident. Evelyn knew. She covered for Ray to protect the boy. Arabella was there, too young to remember. But she carried the blame in her dreams. The fire. Flashes hit me, sirens wailing, smoke choking the night. Gran bundling me into her Buick as flames licked the sky. I was 7, convinced my naughty sparkler game had started it. Therapy bills I'd paid off with student loans. Nightmares of orange hell that made me wake screaming.
But Ray?
My uncle. The bumbling everyman with the beer gut and bad jokes. He torched his own father's empire for insurance. And Gran had shouldered the lie, letting me think I was the monster. Rage boiled up, hot as Kentucky bourbon. I pocketed the ledger, descended the stairs like a ghost, and pasted on a smile for the vultures. That night, as they plotted over pecan pie, I played along, nodding at their sobs for Gran, signing another form that funneled a sliver of the estate to a trust. But in my head, the hook was set. They wanted me home for the kill?
Fine.
I'd gut them from the inside. The next morning, Gran rallied, per the doctor's miraculous,
They said.
I volunteered to sit vigil, sending the family off to handle arrangements. Alone in her room, monitors beeping softly, I whispered to her still form, "Wake up."
Gran.
They've got me in their web. But her eyes stayed shut, chest rising in mechanical rhythm. A nurse popped in, charting vitals, and I caught the name tag, Tammy Ray, Uncle's second cousin, twice removed. Small town, tangled roots. By evening, the plot thickened. Mom pulled me aside in the hospital cafeteria, her nails digging crescents into my arm. Bella, listen. Gran's will, she named you beneficiary
Well,
if things go south quick. But Ray's push into contest. Says you're estranged. We can fight it together. Make it even.
even?
The word tasted like ash. I feigned shock. Tears on cue. What do we do? Mom, her smile was a shark's. Sign over your share to the family pot. We'll divvy fair. For Gran. I nodded, heart pounding like a war drum. That night, back at the manse, I hacked into Ray's desktop, password Moonshine42, because of course, finding emails to a shady lawyer in Louisville, lure the girl back. Fake the stroke docs. Once she's signed, we bury Evelyn for real. Codicil flips to us. Bury her. The words chilled me to the marrow. They'd staged it all, the call, the charts, Gran's coma, to drag me into their trap. And the secret? Ray's arson. Pinned on a child. Gran had confessed to Harlan on her deathbed. No. Wait. Harlan's letter said she'd covered for Ray. But the fire's blame? They'd let it fester on me. A scarlet letter I'd worn through therapy and trust issues. All while Ray rebuilt on insurance payouts. I confronted them at dawn, ledger in hand, storming the kitchen where coffee percolated and sin simmered. You motherfucking liars, I spat, slapping the pages down. Mom gasped theatrically. Lydia crossed herself. Ray just chuckled. Low and mean. Little Bella. Playin' detective? He lit a smoke, exhaling toward the ceiling fan. That fire? Ancient history. And Gran? She's comparable. Sign the papers, or we'll make sure the codicil names no one. The threat hung heavy. No one, meaning the fortune dissolved to taxes. Debts. Nothing. They'd bleed the estate dry before letting an outsider like me claim it. But I was no outsider. I was Voss blood, tainted and true. That's when the first flip happened. Lydia sidled up, whispering, "He's bluffing."
Girl.
I got dirt on him. 2 affairs. Kickbacks. Side with me. We split it 3 ways. 3? Mom overheard, her face twisting. Traitorous bitch. After all I've done. Chaos erupted. Plates shattering. Accusations flying like buckshot. I slipped out amid the melee, driving to the old distillery ruins under cover of oaks. There, in the charred skeleton, I dug up a rusted lockbox Harlan had buried for emergencies. Inside, deeds, bonds, a revolver with 6 shiny rounds, and a note, for the one who remembers the spark. Burn bright, Arabella. Empowered, I returned, revolver tucked in my waistband, not for blood, but balance. The family truce was fragile, a paper-thin pact over lukewarm meatloaf. But as days blurred into a week of hospital vigils and lawyer lunches, I wove my web. Flirted with Ray's suspicions. Leaked tips to Lydia about Mom's casino tabs. Sowed discord like kudzu. Gran woke on day 10, groggy but grinning when she saw me. Knew you'd come. Firefly. Her pet name for me. From the night of the blaze. In private, she spilled, Ray's arson was revenge on Harlan for cutting him out of the business. She'd lied to protect the family name. Let me take the fall because kids forget, legacies don't.
But now,
with death knocking, she wanted truth. The codicil's yours if you forgive. Or fight. Your call. Forgive? The word was foreign. But fight? That sang in my veins. Forgiveness is for suckers and saints. And I ain't neither. Gran's eyes, milky with cataracts but sharp with secrets, held mine as she rasped, "Don't let them devour you."
Bella.
Vosses eat their young. I squeezed her hand, the 4 lines snaking between us like a venomous vine, and promised I'd handle it.
Handle them.
Little did she know, the handling had already begun. Back at the manse that evening, the air crackled with unspoken alliances. Uncle Ray had taken to eyeing me like a side of beef, part lust, part loathing, while Mom chain-smoked on the porch, muttering about ungrateful kin. Lydia played neutral, baking lemon bars laced with passive-aggressive notes. Family first. Always. I smiled through it all, playing the dutiful granddaughter. But nights found me in the basement wine cellar, actually Ray's man cave of faded posters and forgotten grudges. There, I pored over his files, tax evasions, a mistress in Cincinnati with a bun in the oven, photos of him pocketing cash from store registers. Blackmail gold. But crude. I needed finesse. Something to fracture them from the foundation. The idea hit during a storm that rattled the windows like dice in a cup. Why destroy when you can divide? I started small, anonymous text to Mom from a burner app. Ray's skimming again. Check the ledgers. To Lydia, Mom's boyfriend's back, draining the pot. To Ray, Lydia's lawyered up, contesting everything. Paranoia bloomed overnight. Breakfast devolved into interrogations, forks clattering like swords. Who sent this shit? Ray bellowed, waving his phone. Mom denied. Lydia deflected. And I feigned horror, suggesting a family therapist from Lexington. They bit hook, line, sinker, because nothing unites the guilty like projecting their sins. The therapist was my plant, Dr. Ellis, a disgraced shrink I dug up on a dark web forum, willing to play puppet for $5,000 wired from Gran's sickbed fund. Sessions in the parlor were theater gold, Ray raging about entitled bitches, Mom sobbing over betrayals, Lydia dissecting motives like a coroner. Ellis nodded sagely, then leaked confidential summaries to each via email, twisting words into wedges. Ray got wind Mom called him dead weight. Lydia learned Ray labeled her barren witch. Mom discovered Lydia's plot to ice her out. By week's end, the manse was a powder keg. I fueled the fire with whispers. To Ray, Mom's forging Gran's signature. Saw it myself. To Mom, Ray's got a PI on you. Digging casino dirt. To Lydia, they're both in on it. Planning to frame you for fraud. Trust eroded faster than riverbank clay. One night, it boiled over, Ray accusing Mom of theft, her hurling a vase that shattered against his temple, drawing a thin line of blood. Lydia locked herself in the panic room. Yes, Ray had won, stocked with bourbon and bear mace, while I called 911 from the foyer, voice trembling for the dispatcher's benefit. Cops arrived. Small-town badges more interested in coffee than cuffs. Domestic squabble, the sergeant drawled, patching Ray's cut with a butterfly strip. But I planted seeds. It's the inheritance. Officer. Grandpa's will. It's tearing us apart. He grunted. But his partner, a woman with tired eyes, slipped me her card. Call if it escalates. Miss Boss. Money makes monsters. It did. Gran's recovery stalled. Turns out, the stroke was a cocktail of sedatives Ray sourced from a shady pharmacist pal, administered via her tea. She confided as much in me during stolen visits, her voice a threadbare whisper. He wants me gone quiet. The fire was just practice. Practice. The word clawed at me. I'd spent years in shrinks' offices, reliving that night, the acrid smoke, the screams of Bella started it. Gran's arms around me as flames devoured dreams. Therapy labeled it survivor's guilt, but it was engineered shame. A child's psyche bartered for family facade. Enough. I escalated. Using the revolver as leverage, no shots. Just the cold kiss of steel against Ray's temple during a midnight chat in the garage. One word. Uncle. And your brains paint the Buick. He blanched, sweat beading like dew on his brow. What do you want? You little cunt. Truth, I hissed, pressing harder. The fire. Why me? He cracked like cheap crystal. Harlan was cutting me out, said I was weak. Needed the insurance to prove him wrong. You were there, playing with fireworks. Easy scapegoat. Evelyn. She loved you too much to let it stick forever. Love me too much? She'd let it fester. Let me shatter. And Gran? A shrug. Old lady's a liability. Signs the wrong thing. Poof, codicil to you. Better she's natural causes after the docs. I holstered the gun, leaving him slumped against oil drums.
But mercy? Nah.
I recorded it all, tiny recorder from an online spy shop. His confession crystal in the quiet. Uploaded to a cloud drive. Encrypted. With auto-send to the DA if I whispered pineapple. The flip came next morning. Lydia, ever the chameleon, cornered me in the garden, shears in hand like a prop from a slasher flick. I know about the gun.
Bella.
Saw you slip out. Side with me, we expose Ray. Split with Evelyn's blessing. Her eyes darted. Calculating odds. Controversial? Hell yes. Allying with the viper who'd once accidentally poisoned Mom's goldfish to test loyalties. But Ray was the arsonist, the attempted grave robber. I played coy. What's in it for Gran? Everything, she purred. I control the lawyers. We frame it as Ray's solo scheme, sedatives. The fake charts. Mom takes a fall for complicity. Small time. You and I, queens of the castle.
Tempting.
But I countered. Prove it. Get me the farmer records. She did. Emailing PDFs by lunch, Ray's text to the pill pusher. Timestamps damning. I forwarded anonymously to the hospital admin. CCNG the cops tip line. By afternoon, Ray was in cuffs, bellowing innocence from the back of a cruiser. Mom wailed. Lydia smirked. And I visited Gran, showing her the footage. It's unraveling,
Gran.
but they're circling. Her laugh was a cough.
Good.
Let 'em eat each other. But watch your mama. She's the cleverest fox. Clever. Understatement. That night, as Ray's arraignment hit local news, local businessman charged in elder abuse plot, Mom staged her own drama. Burst into my room at 2 a.m., face streaked with mascara rivers. Bella. It was all him. I swear. I didn't know about the drugs. Lydia pushed me into the calls, said it'd bring you home for closure. Closure? The word mocked me. But her sobs were Oscar-worthy. And doubt wormed in. Had Mom been played? Too? A pawn in Lydia's chess? I comforted her, tucking her in like she used to me, but slipped a tracker in her purse, cheap Amazon gadget. Pinging to my phone. Dawn brought warrants. Cops swarmed the manse, hauling Lydia's designer luggage for forensic accounting. Turns out, she'd been the architect, forging the codicil drafts, bribing the notary, even tipping Ray to the sedatives. Efficiency, she spat as they Mirandized her, flipping from ally to adversary in a heartbeat. You think Ray had the brains? Please. Mom clung to me, vindicated, tears flowing. See? I told you. We're in this together now. Together. The lie tasted sweet, but I swallowed it. Gran's condition worsened. A ploy, I suspected, to accelerate probate. I demanded a private consult with her doc, a harried Indian man named Patel. Mrs. Voss is stable, he assured, but stress from family. It's taxing. Stress. From us. I nodded, then cornered Tammy the nurse in the break room. How long you been dosing Gran for, Ray? She crumbled, spilling Lydia's orders via text, with payoffs in cash-stuffed Hallmark cards. I got kids. Miss Voss. College ain't cheap. Sympathy? Fleeting. I taped it, added to the file. By now, the cloud drive was a nuclear arsenal, confessions, docs, timelines painting a tapestry of treason. But the real bomb? Mom's tracker pinged to the old Voss hardware flagship store. Midnight rendezvous with Lydia's lawyer? No, Ray's bookie. A goon named Frankie with knuckles like walnuts. I tailed her in the rental, heart hammering as she handed over a briefcase in the alley shadows. For the hit on Ray in lockup, she murmured, voice tinny through the cracked window. Make it look suicide. Then the codicil's ours, yours and mine. After we discover Evelyn's new will. Hit. My own mother. Greenlighting fratricide for a slice of the pie. The betrayal sank like lead, deeper than Ray's flames, sharper than Lydia's shears. She'd birthed me, bathed me, then branded me the arsonist to cover her brother's ass. All for the green. I didn't confront. Not yet. Instead, I drove to the river, hurling pebbles into the current, each plunk a prayer for clarity. Controversial choices loomed. Expose Mom, orphaning Gran and myself, or play along. Become the monster to end them? The revolver weighed heavy in my glove box. A siren's call. Back home, no. The manse. That gilded cage. I found Mom Abed. Feigning flu. Tired. Baby. This mess. It's killing me. Killing. Irony dripped. I brewed her tea, chamomile, innocent, and watched her sip, our eyes locking in a dance of deceit. We'll get through. Mom. Family sticks. She smiled, venom veiled. But as she dozed, I rifled her nightstand, a vial of the same sedatives, half empty. For Gran?
Or me. The decision crystallized then.
No more pawns. I'd queen the board. Queening meant sacrifice, pawns for power, blood for the board. With Ray rotting in county, Lydia lawyered to the hilt, and Mom's mask cracking, I turned the manse into my war room. Mornings, hospital runs, charming nurses for intel, slipping grand updates scrawled on napkins, hold on. Justice brews. Afternoons, digging digital graves, cross-referencing emails and bank wires that traced a web of Voss villainy back to Harlan's heyday. Grandpa hadn't been the saint of lore. He'd cooked books.
2.
Funneling untaxed hooch money into investments that Ray now milked dry. The codicil? Not benevolence, a poison pill to force reckoning among his spawn. Gran knew. Of course. During a lucid window, as rain lashed the hospital panes, she gripped my wrist. Harlan built empires on lies.
Bella.
I covered his sins. Then Ray's. Don't cover mine. End it. End it. Her words echoed as I drove to Louisville that night, meeting Ellis the shrink in a dive bar off I-64. Over whiskeys that burned like truth serum, I handed him a thumb drive. Plant this in session notes, Mom's confession to the bookie payoff. Make it leak to the press. He arched a brow, ice clinking. Blackmail's one thing. Arabella. This is perjury adjacent. Adjacent's fine, I shot back. Ray's your cousin.
Right?
He burned your folks' barn as a teen joyride. Call it karma consulting. He paled small towns, long memories, then nodded. 10 grand more. Wired on the spot. By morning headlines, the Louisville Courier screamed, Voss family feud turns deadly, suicide plot alleged in inheritance war. Mom's name wasn't dropped, but the dots connected her casino ties. The bookie whispers. Reporters swarmed the manse driveway, mics thrusting like bayonets. Mom barricaded us inside, curtains drawn, her voice shrill over takeout pizza. This is Lydia. She's paying them to smear me, I soothed, nodding along. But texted the sergeant from before. Check Voss hardware security cams, last night's alley meet. The goons plate. Frankie's Escalade. Tied it neat. By noon, detectives knocked. Polite but pointed. Mom fluttered, offering iced tea, but they wanted her phone. Routine.
Ma'am.
Tips incoming. She handed it over. Eyes flicking to me. Accusation? Plea? I met her gaze steady. The revolver's outline a ghost against my thigh. They left with her device, promising follow-up. She collapsed on the sofa,
Sobbing.
What have we become? Bella? Monsters. I thought. Your masterpiece. Lydia's flip was swift. Spectacular. Bailed on a technicality, her lawyer's a shark with DA golf buddies, she stormed the manse that evening. Botox cracking under fury. You bitch, she snarled at Mom, who cowered behind the island. This was our deal. Ray takes the fall. We split. Mom straightened, venom rising. Our deal? You drugged Evelyn. I just facilitated. Euphemism for enabling attempted murder. I stepped between them, voice calm as a loaded chamber. Ladies.
Truce.
Gran's fading. Let's focus. They turned on me, twin glares like spotlights. Stay out of it, girl, Lydia snapped. You weren't even here. Wasn't here. I laughed.
Bitter.
For the fire? The lies?
Yeah.
I was the patsy.
But now?
I'm the executor. Bluff. Gran hadn't signed yet, but it landed. Lydia's eyes narrowed.
Calculating.
Executor.
Fine.
Sign with me. We oust her. A jerk toward Mom. Mom lunged, nails raking Lydia's cheek. Over my dead. I separated them, shoving Lydia toward the door.
Out.
Before I call the cops on that little stunt. She went, but not quietly. Threats of lawsuits, disownments. You'll rot like your daddy. Door slammed, echo lingering. Mom sagged against me, whispering, "Thank you,
Baby.
you're all I got." All she had. The lie lodged like bone in throat. That night, her tracker pinged again. Hospital. I followed, parking in shadows, watching her slip into Gran's room. Through the window, silhouettes argued, Mom's hands gesturing wild, Gran's head shaking feeble. Then, a glint, the sedative vial, uncapped. My blood iced. I burst in, door banging like judgment. Mom, what the fuck? She whirled, vial clattering to linoleum. Bella, I was just checking her meds. Gran wheezed, eyes wide.
Out. Caroline. Now.
Mom, Caroline Voss, a queen of facades, stammered, then fled, heels clicking down halls. I knelt by Gran, pulse thready under my fingers. Call code, I barked to the night nurse, who scrambled. Crash cart, paddles, chaos. They stabilized her, barely, but the damage was done. Another stroke, prognosis grim. Mom waited in the lobby, face a porcelain mask. I didn't swear on your life. Bella. On mine? I echoed. Voice steel. You already tried burning it once. Her flinch was genuine, or masterful acting. Controversial calculus. Believe the woman who birthed you, or the evidence piling like indictments. I chose neither. Instead, I played double agent. To cops, Mom's distraught, but check the cams. To Mom, we'll fight this together, blame Lydia. She bought it, hugging tight, her perfume cloying as cyanide. The climax brewed over days of drip-fed drips, media frenzy. Lawyers circling like crows. Ray plea bargained, ratting Lydia for leniency. She masterminded the fake emergency. Sedatives, charts, all her. Lydia countered, suing for defamation, claiming Ray's delusions. Mom, she pivoted to victim, granting teary interviews to the Courier. My family's torn apart by greed. Only my daughter keeps me sane.
Sane.
I laughed alone in the attic, ledger open like a Bible. The polarization hit peak when Gran rallied enough for a lucid deposition, videotaped. Lawyers present. The codicil stands, she croaked, glaring at the camera. To Arabella, for enduring what we inflicted. Gasps rippled, Mom's feigned. Lydia's seething via Zoom from jail.
Ray.
In orange, just smirked. But the twist? Gran's addendum, unless they confess. All of them. Then mercy, equal shares.
Mercy.
The word hung, polarizing the room. Confess publicly? Ray'd face arson charges full force. Lydia.
Fraud. Mom.
Conspiracy to murder. Or silence. And I inherit solo, betraying Gran's hope for redemption. I agonized in the chapel at Willow Creek Baptist, Stained glass saints judging silent. Faith, lapsed since Dad's ditch. But family? It was the devil I knew. Outside, protesters gathered, not for us, but elder abuse awareness, signs waving. Protect our seniors. Polarized, some vilified the Vosses as monsters. Others whispered karma for Harlan's hooch empire. Mom found me there, slipping into the pew. Gran's test.
Bella.
Confess. And we heal. Heal? After the vial. The bookie? But her eyes, haunted, human, stirred doubt. What would you say, Mom? Truth, she murmured. The fire. We let you think it was you. To protect Ray. Protect us.
Us.
The royal we of wreckage. I nodded. Throat tight. Then let's end it. The confession hearing was circus. Courthouse packed. Cams flashing. Ray first. Voice gravel. I torched the distillery. Blamed Bella to save face. Murmurs swelled. Hero or heel. Lydia next. I faked the emergency. Drugged Evelyn for control. Mom last. Tears real. I knew. Paid the hit.
For the money.
And fear. Applause?
Bosh.
Split down aisles. Feminists cheering Mom's bravery. Conservatives decrying Voss moral rot.
Me?
I stood silent. Gran's hand in mine via proxy feed. The judge sealed it. Equal shares. Minus penalties. Mercy granted. But as we exited to flashbulbs, Mom leaned close. Proud of you, baby. We did right.
Did we?
The revolver still waited. Unloaded but loaded with what-ifs.
Right?
The word mocked as we piled into the family Escalade. Ironic. Ray's old ride. Now mine by proxy.
Gran discharged to hospice.
The Mansa ghost town of yellow tape and for sale whispers. Media vultures circled. But the confessions had flipped the script. Vosses from villains to flawed Americans seeking atonement. Talk shows booked Mom for redemption arcs. Lydia for tell-all podcasts. Even Ray for prison ministry spots.
Me?
I dodged spotlights. Tending Gran in her sunroom airy, where morphine drips and monitors hummed a dirge. You chose forgiveness, she murmured one dusk, as fireflies winked beyond screens. Harlan would have shot him. I stroked her papery cheek. Harlan built on bullets. I'm building. Something else. Vague as vapor. Truth was, the shares hit accounts, $2 million each. After clawbacks for Ray's arson restitution, Lydia's fines, Mom's restitution to Gran's victims fund. Mine burned a hole, untouchable till probate cleared. But power? That was currency now. I hired PIs, the kind who traced bloodlines and buried bodies metaphorical. Turns out, the codicil hid more, Harlan's dirty dozen, a dozen off-books investments in coal mines, strip clubs, even a pack for Southern values that funneled to Ray's campaigns for county commissioner. Knowledge was leverage. I leaked select bits to the feds, an IRS audit on Ray's ministry slush fund, SEC whispers on Lydia's offshore shells. Not revenge. I told myself justice. But nights. Revolver on the nightstand. I'd replay Mom's vile glint, Ray's smirk, Lydia's purr. Polarization gnawed. Was I avenger or architect of their ruin? Readers, hell, if this were a book, would split. Arabella's a badass reclaiming her due, versus she's as toxic as they come, perpetuating the cycle. Mom sensed the shift. She moved back in to help with Evelyn, cooking pot roast that tasted of ashes. Her hugs lingering too long. We're free now.
Bella.
New start.
Free.
I nodded. But tractor calls. To Frankie the bookie. Deals off, cops too hot. To a new number. Lexington Clinic. Discreet. For the stress. Abortion? No, plastic surgery consult. Fresh face for the comeback trail. Lydia's comeback was bolder. Out on appeal bond. She launched Voss Redemption Realty, flipping foreclosed farms with a tone and own seminars. Her pitch on Fox affiliate. I schemed. I sinned. Now I sell salvation, one property at a time. Viewers ate it. Ratings spiked. She called me. Voice honey over thorns. Partner up.
Niece.
Your smarts. My schmooze. We bury the hatchet in profit.
Bury.
The word triggered.
Pass, I said.
Got my hands full. With what? Evelyn's ghost. She laughed.
Low.
Grand's gone soon. Then what? Chicago cubicle? Come on. Blood's thicker. Thicker than the lies? I hung up. But the seed sprouted. Gran faded fast. Hospice a vigil of beeps and borrowed time. Her last lucid hour. She beckoned me close. The revolver. Harlan's. Use it wise. Or melt it down.
Wise.
Ambiguous as a fever dream. She slipped away at midnight. Monitors flatlining to Mom's wail, echoing halls. Funeral was spectacle. Baptist packed. Eulogies from Paul's Ray one spot. I spoke last. Podium trembling under spotlights. Evelyn Voss taught endurance. Forgave flames we lit. May we honor that not with words, but reckoning. Reckoning. The congregation nodded. But outside. Whispers. Smart cookie. Vindictive witch. Polarized to the pews. Probate party followed, irony. A celebration of life, at the manse. Catered with shrimp étouffée and spiked punch. Mom fluttered. Lydia networked. Ray zooms from lockup with teary toasts. I circulated. Revolver in purse like a talisman. Eavesdropping schemes. Lydia pitching Mom on a sister spa retreat in Napa. Rebrand as survivors. Mom demurring. Eyes on me. After Bella settled. Settled. The word itched. Post-funeral. I drove to the distillery ruins. Lockbox unearthed again.
Inside.
Besides the gun, a flash drive. Harlan's voice. Crackly audio. If you're hearing this, pups.
I've gone.
The fortune's bait for truth. Arabella. Girl.
You saw the spark.
Don't let it consume. Or do. Your fire.
Consume.
The ruins whispered yes. Vines choking beams. Weeds thrusting through ash. I fired the revolver once. Into earth. Echo rolling like thunder. Symbolic? Or starter pistol? Back home. The flip orchestrated itself. Mom announced her run for Ray's old commissioner's seat. Clean government. From the ashes. Lydia pledged endorsement. Voss Unity ticket.
Ray.
From bars. Wired approval. Sis. You're the face. I'll consult.
Unity. Gag-worthy.
But I saw the strings. Lydia puppeteering Mom's ambition. Using her redemption glow to launder past sins into votes. Controversial? A mother-daughter duo rising from scandal. Or vipers in victim drag. Polls early favored. Willow Creek loved a comeback yarn. I countered subtle. Donated anonymously to her opponent. A reformist DA with fire investigation chops. Leaked Mom's casino tabs to the opponent's PAC. Framed as fiscal irresponsibility. Then, The gut punch. To Lydia's realty board. The offshore docks proving fraud. Her seminars shuttered overnight. Clients fleeing like roaches. Panic calls flooded. Mom first. Hysterical. Bella. What did you do? My signs vandalized. Arson mom in spray paint. Not me. I lied smooth. But maybe karma's got a brush. Lydia next. Venomous. You little shit. This was our legacy. Legacy. I echoed. Of lies?
Nah.
I'm rewriting. Raise collect call last. Voice oily. Heard you're playing God.
Niece.
Careful. Prison's got long showers. Threat or plea? I hung up. But fear flickered. The revolver stayed loaded now. 2 rounds chambered. For balance. Mom confronted in the kitchen. Knife block gleaming between us. It's you, isn't it?
Sabotaging.
After everything. Everything.
Her vial.
Her hit. You mean the everything where you tried to off-gran? Or the fire fairy tale? She blanched. Then rallied. That was survival. Voss way. Protect the pack. Pack of wolves. I spat. Feasting on me. Her hand shot out, slap, stinging cheek. Ungrateful.
Ibeletsu.
Raised you. Raised a scapegoat. I roared back, grabbing the revolver, slamming it down. This ends.
Mom.
Confess the hit publicly, or I drop the tapes.
Tapes.
The confession cloud, poised to burst. She stared, chest heaving, then crumpled.
Fine. For you.
Public? No. Press conference, next morn. Mom at podium. Voice breaking. I authorized violence against my brother. Greed blinded me. I stepped down. Seek help. Gasps. Applause. Polarized again. Brave. Cop out. Lydia seethed via text. You win this round.
Bitch.
But game's not over.
Game.
Indeed. With mom rehab-bound, self-imposed. Suspiciously timed. I inherited the manse outright, Gran's final gift. Deeded pre-death. Alone in its echoes. I planned the endgame. Chicago called. But Willow Creek clung, roots deep as Harlan's hooch. Twist brewed in a letter. Postmarked Cincinnati. Ray's mistress. Heavy with his kid. He told me everything. Including your bluff, the gun's Harlan's. But blanks. Said you'd never pull trigger.
Blanks.
The revolver.
Prop all along.
Rage? No, relief. Bitter. I'd fought shadows with shadows. But the real detonator? Mom's rehab was a ruse. Texts intercepted. Her and Lydia plotting a civil suit against me for extortion.
Ray.
Released on technical. Joining via proxy. Take the girl for all, then the shares revert. Revert.
To them.
The betrayal loop. Eternal. Enough. I chose the blade, not steel.
But law.
Filed countersuit. Conspiracy. Fraud. Elder abuse. Evidence. The arsenal. DA fast-tracked. Trials merged into spectacle. Courtroom climax. Voss's versus. Voss. Gallery packed with rubberneckers. Ray on stand. Sweating. She threatened. Gun to my head.
Me.
Come. Blanks. As you knew. But your arson? Real as the scars. Mom testified. Flipping last. Bella's right. We preyed on her. Tears?
Real.
Or jury play. Lydia stonewalled. But cross-cracked her. Wire transfers. Texts. Eliminate Evelyn. Then the girl. Verdict. Guilty across. Probation for mom. House arrest Lydia. Ray full stint. Shares frozen. Redistributed. Mine bulk. Rest a grants fund for fire victims. Ironic poetry. Polarized finale. Headline screamed, Voss dynasty crumbles. Heir emerges victor? Debates raged. Reddit threads. Arabella's justice porn versus. She destroyed her family. Monster in martyr's clothes.
Me?
I sold the manse. Moved to Chicago with $8 mill and ghosts lightened. Mom visited once. Sober-eyed. Proud. Baby. But did we deserve it?
Deserve.
The debate eternal. Deserve? The question haunted like a half-remembered him as I unpacked in my Gold Coast condo. Lake Michigan glittering below like fool's gold. Chicago swallowed me whole, consulting gigs for boutique firms. Lunches with power players who eyed my backstory like a resume bullet. Voss heiress, from feud to fortune. Pitch decks sold it. But mirrors reflected the cost. Crow's feet from clenching jaws. Nights jolted awake by phantom flames. Mom's visits tapered. First monthly, then holidays only. Her recovery memoir self-published to middling reviews. Touching, but tone-deaf. She remarried quick, a used car salesman with a mustache like a broom bristle, settling in Florida. Away from Kentucky chill. Letters came sporadic. Miss you. Firefly. Gran be proud. Proud of the prodigal who profited from pain? Lydia? She flipped hardest. House arrest birthing a blog. Caged viper. Lessons in legacy. Viral in true crime circles. Monetized with merch. Forgive and flip tease. She called once. Post-release. Water under the bridge. Arabella? Napa still stands. I declined, but watched her TEDx talk. Redemption's real estate. Racking views. Controversial icon. Some hailed her hustle. Others hexed her hypocrisy. Ray rotted quiet. Appeals denied. His kid born without Voss strings, mistress wise. Taking child support and vanishing to Cali. The twist dropped 6 months post-verdict. Innocuous envelope from the DA. Closed file. But one loose end. Harlan's audio. We found another layer. Audio cued. Grandpa's voice. Post-codicil ramble. If Arabella hears this. Girl. The fire wasn't just Ray. Your mama struck the match, drunk, raging at me for the will. He took blame to shield her. Evelyn covered all. Forgive or fuel the pyre? Pyre. Mom struck the match. The fairy tale inverted. I wasn't scapegoat. She was arsonist. Ray her knight in tarnished armor. Gran the veil. Betrayal cubed. Shattering the mercy I'd mustered. Rage revisited. But muted. Time's eroder. I drove south. Unannounced. To her stucco bungalow off Alligator Alley. She answered in florals. Husband puttering in the yard.
Bella.
Surprise. We walked the beach. Waves gnashing like accusations. Heard the tape, I said. Flat. Her step faltered. Then steadied. Knew it would surface. Ray blabbed in lockup. Spiteful to the end. Why? The word cracked. Child small. She stopped. Gulls wheeling overhead. You were 4, sparklers innocent. I was.
Lost.
Harlan cut me deep. The will. One match. To spite him. Ray saw. Confessed to cops first. My fire. My fault. Evelyn spun it to you later. Testing loyalties when you fled.
Testing.
And the hit? The vial? Desperation's echo. Thought if Ray went quiet. Shares to us, you'd share. Being soft.
Soft.
The polarization peaked in my gut. Forgive the monster who made me? Or indict? Orphaning us both? I chose controversy neither. Handed her a check, $500,000, from the fund. For peace. Not pardon. Her eyes welled. Enough.
No.
But a start. Back in Chicago. I melted the revolver, jeweler's torch. Slag poured into a pendant, flame-shaped, worn under collars. Therapy resumed. Not for scars but strength, Group 4 legacy burdens, where trust fund 20-somethings swapped war stories sans the arson. The ending? No tidy bow. Mom's book revised. Chapter on the match, sales spiked, debate fodder. Cathartic. Calculated PR. Lydia interviewed her. Podcast gold. Sisters in sin. Ray wrote from prison. Proud of the fighter you became.
Proud.
Echo of Gran. I visited Willow Creek, once more. Distilleria Park now, Voss Memorial Trail, plaques on resilience. Stood where flames birthed me anew. Fireflies dancing like absolution. Was it happy? Tragic? Readers argue in comments. Arabella wins. Family optional. She lost her soul to the score.
Me?
I breathe freer. Fortune fueling freedoms. Donations to fire survivor orgs. A foundation for hidden blamers. The Voss curse? Broken. Or just rebranded. But in quiet. Revolver's ghost whispers. Deserve? We all do. The pyre's ours to tend. Or quench.
The end? Nah.
Sparks linger.